Okay, hello, periods 1 and 4, good morning. So you should have been given a Unit 10 area and perimeter packet from the substitute. If you don't have that, you should go and get this. I'm going to be checking on Monday. If you fill in all the notes and do the homework, I'm going to give you 5 points. So let's get started and to page 2. So I want to talk about the difference today between area and perimeter. If you think about area, the area of a shape, that's the amount of space inside of a shape. So it's the amount of space inside a shape. And I'm sorry for my writing here. It's very hard to write on this thing. And it's always measured in square units. That might be square feet, it might be square inches, but it's measured in squares. The perimeter, on the other hand, what the perimeter is that's the distance around of a shape. And so that's just measured in plain old units, be it feet, inches, miles, meters, whatever. The perimeter of a circle, that has a special name, and that's called the circumference. We're talking about that, I think, in topic 4. So, now, I'm not sure if you guys are going to be in the auditorium or what, but I do want to talk about, let's pretend that we're redecorating the classroom, room 210. So first we have to head up to Home Depot to buy supplies. For the following items, would we have to come up with the area or perimeter measurements? So if we wanted to buy new floor tiles, the square floor tiles that pretty much every classroom in the school is covered with, would we have to come up with the area of the floor or the perimeter of the floor? So think about it. And hopefully you're thinking, oh, we'd have to come up with the area of the floor. Now, the rubber molding that goes around, so if you're in the classroom, you can look at this. If you're not, maybe, I'm not sure if there's any in the auditorium, but the rubber molding that goes around the floor, okay, it's called cove molding. So maybe you have it in your house if you have molding that goes around the floor or crown molding that goes around. Would you have to find the area of the floor or the perimeter of the floor? For this one, you'd have to find the perimeter. Okay. What if we were going to paint the walls? If we wanted to paint the walls of the room, would we have to find the area of the wall or the perimeter of the wall? For this one, we'd have to find the area. And the ceiling tiles, so if you look up, there are 2-foot by 4-foot ceiling tiles in the room. Okay, they're the actual tiles. So if we had to determine how many of them we had to buy, we'd have to find the area of the ceiling. Now, if we think about it, the metal rails, so those squares or rectangular ceiling tiles are held in with metal rails. If we were going into Home Depot and we had to decide, well, how many of those metal rails would we have to hold up? Would we have to buy? We'd actually have to find the perimeter of all of the square tiles. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to think about it and name something else you'd buy at Home Depot that would require perimeter measurement. It could be something for outside or inside your house. And then name something else you'd buy at Home Depot that would require an area measurement. So go ahead and pause this and think about that. You need to fill this in to get the 4 points or 5 points for this lesson. Move to the next slide. Okay. So what we say is that the perimeters of plane figures, they're one-dimensional, and they're measured in straight-up units. Feet, meters, yards, miles. Whereas the area of plane figures, they're two-dimensional, and they're measured in units, square units, or sometimes we say units squared with a little superscript 2 like that, just like if we're squaring a number. It might be feet squared or square meters or whatever. Now, volumes, I just wanted to kind of give you a little preview. volumes of plain figures. So if you have like a can of soup, it's the amount of soup that would go into the can. That's actually, those are three-dimensional measurements, and they're going to be measured in units cubed. So we will talk about that in the next unit. So I want you to consider a tile on the floor. So it's pretty much, even if you're in the auditorium, you know what they look like. They're pretty much in every classroom in this building. And how long is each side of the tile? If you look down and measured it, it is 1 foot on each side. So 1 foot, or we do a 1, and remember one little dash like that means 1 foot. If we had 2 little dashes, it would be inches. So 1 foot. And what we call this is we call this a square foot. So we can say the area of that square tile is going to be 1 foot squared. Now the perimeter, if we were going around the perimeter, well, we'd have to measure around it, and it would be 1 foot plus 1 foot plus 1 foot plus 1 foot. It would be 4 feet. Okay. Let's think about that perimeter in inches this time. Well, going around again, it would be 12 inches plus 12 inches plus 12 inches plus 12 inches. It would be 48 inches. Now the area, if we kind of, I'm going to redraw this shape here, the area of this, remember it's going to be 12 inches, 12 inches, 12 inches, 12 inches. So if we were measuring the area, like how many square inches? So a square inch would be like a little guy, and so it's kind of like a quarter-sized square. How many of those could we fit in there? And we could actually fit 12 times 12, or 144 inches squared. So if you don't quite get that, that's okay. We'll talk about it a little bit more later. So let's slide up here. Now what I'd like you to do in your mind's eye, if you're in the auditorium or if you're in the classroom, you can actually think about this. What we want to look at is we want to look at putting 9 of those square, so 9 of the tiles together. And so remember, each side is 1 foot long. Well, so each side is 3 feet. Each side of the big block is 3 feet. So do you see how this is 1 yard long? So this is 1 yard by 1 yard. And we call this a square yard. Well, the area is going to be 1 square yard, or I can say 1 yard squared. And the perimeter, again, if we go all the way around, it would be 1 yard plus 1 yard plus 1 yard plus 1 yard. The perimeter would be 4 yards. Now let's think about the perimeter in feet. So we said that each side is 3 feet. So that's 3 feet plus 3 feet plus 3 feet plus 3 feet. The perimeter is going to be 12 feet. But the crazy thing is, if we look at the area, well, how many square yards are in that, how many square feet are in that square yard? Well, each of these tiles is a square foot. So there's actually 9 square feet. So what I want you to do is I want you to really look at these conversions. 1 yard squared is equal to 9 feet squared, but 4 yards is equal to 12 feet. So here we're multiplying by 9, and here we're multiplying by 3. So we'll talk more about that. All right, next slide. Okay, so now what I want you to do is, this is what your homework's going to be like. Consider this diagram. Each block is 1 square unit. So what's the area of this? Well, you can just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So each area of the figures, we can say this figure is 12 units squared. Now let's think about the perimeter. Well, the perimeter is going to be, do you see how this is 3, and this is 4 units, and this is 3, and this is 4? So the perimeter is going to be 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus 4. That's going to be 14 straight up units. So notice, again, area, we see the area is in units squared. Perimeter is in straight units. I'm going to talk an awful lot about units here. So now let's try this next one. If we were looking at the area, well, maybe you could just count the blocks again. And you see how there is 11 square units, or 11 units squared. But if we think about the perimeter, well, this side is 2, this side is 2, this side is 2, this is 2, this is 3, and then we have 1 and 1, and then this side is 3. So the perimeter is going to be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3. So the perimeter is going to be, let's see, 8, 11, 12, 13, 16. Check my arithmetic. Hopefully I did that right. 16 units. So why don't you go ahead, why don't you pause it and make sure that you can do these two. Okay, so pause it and make sure you can do these two. So do them on your own, and then I'll write the answers down. So go ahead, press pause. So I got the area equals 12 units squared. And that the perimeter is a little harder to find. This is 4, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 4, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. Okay, so the perimeter is going to be 4 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 4 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1. That's going to be 6, 8, 10, 14, 15, 16, 18.
May I have your attention, please? Ms. Hausman's classes are
20
in the
units.
auditorium.